All right, Jeremiah.
Hi there.
Hey, yeah, go ahead and I'm not going to read the note here because I don't want to misrepresent what you're saying. So go ahead and introduce your topic for us.
Okay, so uh, this is probably the most, the least interesting topic tonight, but I just wanted to
Okay.
say that so the opioid epidemic is a conspiracy, or at least it's the most substantiated conspiracy we've heard tonight. But I wanted to point out that it seems to me that one of the people or groups of people who were complicit in it don't seem to be being required to. They're not being pursued. It wasn't just the drug companies that engaged in a conspiracy to put their own profit ahead of the health of individuals, but it was also anybody who engaged in the distribution, including possibly like pharmacists and doctors. Um,
Okay,
and I
so
don't think that's right. I know they're not done yet, but it's definitely a conspiracy, right?
can you define conspiracy for us?
In this context, to be clear, right?
Well, in general, it's anytime two or more people can plan together to either defraud people or break the law,
Okay.
or,
So
or
kind of
or hurt people, or defraud or break the law.
so even like scam artists like on the street or something, I don't know what they would be doing. I can't think of a specific example, but like
Selling
a
fake Rolexes.
yeah, or MLMs, like
Hmm.
is that a conspiracy because they know that like the people they recruit are never going to make any money, but they tell them that they are? Would you define those kinds of things as
Mm,
conspiracies?
I don't know if you could. So I know I could weed out the person on the street because like a scam artist, because they are targeting an individual, or an individual group at least, whereas I would say a conspiracy normally is more of a function of itself, like they function for their own profit and not necessarily target an individual. Of course, I guess a conspiracy could target an individual instead of a group, but I I would say that MLMs and pyramid schemes are a type of conspiracy, probably a subset.
Okay.
Hmm.
Just wanted to be clear on what we're exactly talking about here. Like, so you don't think it's like the government was working with a bunch of doctors to make a lot of the American public addicted to opioids, or you think it was like a government conspiracy, or like what kind? It was like, are
Well,
there people that? Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think I don't I don't know of any time that I could say the government did X or the government did Y. So I don't like that term. It's just too large an institution to blame or point out or make claims specifically about. But I could say the FDA overlooked it. There may be
Hmm.
people inside it who were complicit. I don't think the entire FDA is to blame, but somehow I doubt that they didn't see this coming at all. The question is did they act as soon as they could have, and what level they could have acted at, what time, and
Right.
how soon and how effectively.
Mhm.
So one of the things that I look for when assessing whether or not something is a conspiracy is if there's either a sole person or a small ruling group that's like kind of calling the shots. Just to kind of connect the dots here, are you saying that the FDA person is in league with the person who's pushing the doctors to sell it? Like who is pulling the strings here in your mind?
I would say that the drug manufacturers are the puppet masters. The drugs originate with them, the opioids, but they can't get them to the customers without people downstream. And when they
Right. Well, I mean, they
engage
can't just sell it over the counter. Yeah, they need the prescription network to distribute it. Yeah.
Right, but when they engage in behaviors that encourage anyone downstream to facilitate the patients taking these drugs for any reason other than their own personal health,
Right.
or particularly to enrich others, then that violates the entire purpose of healthcare and is in fact engaging in, for-profit activity at the expense.
Well, wait, the healthcare,
even if it's just a possible expense.
We're talking about America, right?
Yes,
because that's where the
and I have very little experience.
Well, the healthcare and I'm not justifying this. I'm not saying this is how I want it to be, but right now the healthcare system is a for-profit industry. A lot of things that you're describing could also be explained through the profit motive in regard to opioid addiction and distribution. I would not personally, because again, I think we're a lot more in agreement than we were when I read the note. That's why I wanted you to explain it before I made any assumptions. But I don't see it as a top-down conspiracy. I see it as everybody wants a bigger piece of the pie. So they're all kind of working together without being motivated to by an outside source, because the profit motive is what's motivating them to do this. Does that make sense how I've explained it?
Well, kind of, except that if you look at individuals in the healthcare, in any healthcare field, private pharmacies, hospital pharmacies, the doctors administering the prescriptions, and the drug producers. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more evidence that I have seen just recently, and I happen to have a very good friend who has a lot of education in the ins and outs of this, and there were doctors who came out of retirement for the sole purpose of running pill clinics where they just operated on a cash basis.
Right, they used their license. Yeah, they used their license to open the clinic, and then there might be other doctors working there, but they're doing it under the license of the one person, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But it's not like the drug manufacturers didn't know that was going on or couldn't know. And now it is possible that some doctors unknowingly participated, right? It's not like a pharmacist who happened to give the same person 3 different prescriptions for the same drug when they didn't need it was necessarily a part. Just like in MLMs, not all people in the MLM have the intention of screwing people over for their own profit.
Right, exactly. No, that's a great point, because the person at the bottom level selling the skincare product, I mean, yeah, they want to make money, but they also, they probably enjoy talking about the skincare product, whether or not, they're selling it. Whereas
they're like a victim that victimizes other victims. Kind of. Oh no, I don't want to get off topic. But you're right. Like
it's a cycle of abuse.
Yeah, the lines are blurred with MLMs because it's like it's predatory. When you're at the bottom, you're a victim, and then at what point when you work your way up the chain does the victim become the I don't want to say abuser, there's a better word for it, like
complicit in the abuse, maybe.
Yeah,
or complicit in the execution of the abuse.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask too, like, what differentiates someone from being a puppet master from someone just being greedy? I feel like you kind of asked a similar question earlier, but like, how do we know that someone's being a puppet master instead of just being greedy and being like, well, this works in my favor, I'm going to keep this money?
I don't think that there's a black and white answer to that, but it's certainly confusing. But I would say that obviously when you look at the places that were operating on cash bases, those are in the red. They're definitely bad things that had no intent of helping anyone but just make money. And I would also say that's probably another red flag, is when people put profit over the patient. The profit part is supposed to come because you help people, not at the expense of the patient. And the drug companies were specifically complicit in that they were offering kickbacks, as in the more you prescribe, the more benefits you have.
Oh, absolutely.
Rewards and that is absolutely, even if it was informal and not technically a violation, like they didn't qualify for legal action in some cases, that still doesn't make it ethical. And so I don't think that I don't think doctors should be able to benefit from the amount of, I don't think doctors should be able to receive compensation directly from the drug manufacturers based on anything other than outcomes, right?
I agree with you 100%
we're in
on
agreement
that.
There. They shouldn't be incentivized by money, for sure. Doctors should not be given money from drug companies. No.
If I can chime in with a quick little anecdote, just in affirmation of what you were saying about pharmacy companies. I used to manage a restaurant back when I lived in New Mexico, which I alluded to earlier. And we had a catering operation, and I was in charge of the marketing and then eventually the entire front of house, including catering. And where this is going is we had so many pharmacy clients. Like, oh my gosh, our pharma reps were our best clients. They would open up a rewards account like with the restaurant, and then that account would accrue points from the money they were spending from their personal business. So not only were they getting kickbacks like a free lunch when they delivered the catering, they were also getting a free lunch off of that free lunch. And then meanwhile, the hospitals, the ones who were receiving this, they were seeing this pharma rep as their best friend. And meanwhile, the pharma rep is there slinging drugs. They're literally handing out free samples sometimes of like new products and all sorts of branded merchandise, everything from pens to clipboards and all that. And it's the cash flow, man. It's a vicious cycle. It just keeps circulating between the hospitals, the pharma reps. I wouldn't personally brand it as a conspiracy. To me, it seems greedy.
Can I add an anecdote to that?
Oh, go ahead.
That a little. So my friend had to point it out to me that the patients are still suffering from this, right? And they're not suffering in the ways that are always obvious. Like a long time ago, I worked for a major retailer. A long time ago. It was 2006, right? It was after I can't remember the year, but it was after Hurricane Katrina hit Louisiana. And we went out there and we were busting our butts trying to get products to customers to get their life back together. And I aggravated a shoulder injury, and it was absolutely excruciating. I didn't sleep after the second night of no sleep because I was sitting upright in a chair. And even if I didn't move, I would get stabbing pains in my neck and shoulder. Like I would prefer to be hit in the head with a shovel over feeling this pain.
That sounds terrible.
I was suicidal for days. And I went to the emergency room in Louisiana, and I hadn't slept in 2 nights. I was extremely fatigued and in absolute agony. The doctor asked me to rate my pain on a scale of 1 to 10. I think I said a 27. And I remember shaking, and I was cold because I couldn't eat. My stomach was just turning in a knot because I was in such pain. And he gave me ibuprofen, prescription ibuprofen, a lot of it. And I went back to the hotel and took between then and the next night, I took the whole bottle. And it was it was supposed to be a week supply.
Yeah,
and,
that's a little too much.
But I could have died, and I wasn't trying to kill myself. I was trying to stop the pain. And like now,
and that's the thing is people will pay anything to stop the pain, including potentially taking a drug that maybe they shouldn't be taking so much of, and again, as prescribed by a doctor. I don't want to come off as saying question your doctor's prescriptions, but at the same time, make sure that your medical treatment is actually helping you. That's the advice that I feel qualified to give, I guess. But I always say talk to your doctor. And if you don't think your doctor is giving you good advice, find a different doctor. But never try to be your own doctor, because that doesn't work. Not even doctors are allowed to do that.
No. I mean, I didn't even know at the time that taking too much ibuprofen was dangerous. I just wanted the pain to stop, and it wouldn't. And
too much of anything can be.
Get better treatment in a few days after I returned home, but the fact remains that, or in my opinion, I think there are a lot of people who are gonna get away with it, and those people, the most people who are most likely to get away with it are the lower level. Or mid-level, I should say, people who made hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars,
billions,
in these quote-unquote pain clinics and doctors who were prescribing the most and knew it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember seeing statistics that
I don't know how to hold them accountable, but I hope that we can find a way.
Well, I think it's got to be an assessment of how we handle healthcare in this country. I don't think that we can weed out the individual offenders so easily. It's got to be a kind of a more systemic change. But anyway, that being said, we're actually a lot more in agreement than I thought we'd be, Jeremiah. So that was a pleasant direction for this call. Again, I will dispute the use of the word conspiracy, but I absolutely believe that the opioid epidemic was encouraged by people who knew exactly how bad it was. And if that's a conspiracy to you, then it's a conspiracy. But again, thank you so much for calling in. We are
technically.
Oh, sorry. We'll give you about 50. Yeah, go ahead. You can close us out.
Just because I'm so argumentative, I have to point out that opioid manufacturer Purdue Pharma LP pled guilty in November of 2020 to conspiracies to defraud the United States and violate the anti-kickback statute. So it is by definition a conspiracy legally.
Oh, I didn't know that was exactly how that case was worded. I knew they were found guilty of something. I didn't follow up on the details. Well, I might be eating my words here.
They pled guilty.
Gotcha.
They pled guilty. They weren't.
Or pled guilty. Right. All right. Well, thank you again, Jeremiah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say to our caller, once conspiracy was defined, I was more on board as well, because it's like when people start saying conspiracy theory, it's like I don't know if it's a red flag that goes off for me, but at least like a yellow one. Like, okay, what are we talking about here? So once we got that defined, I think we were all pretty much on the same page.
I understand.
Okay, I'm gonna read. Thank you so much for calling.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremiah. Have a good night.